Hi guys. I created this account close to a month ago near the start of January 2024, because I wanted to vent on another sub just as I was on the edge of the tallest building in my neighborhood to consider ending it all. The main reason was due to an issue regarding applying to my dream university. However, what also contributed to that was this story. I wanted to delete this account, but turns out that I will have to use this again for two main reasons. 1. My ex, who I will be talking about in the following series of events, actively follows and checks my Reddit account for what I post, comment, and repost on other subreddits, so I want to keep this discreet from her as much as possible. Second, my main account has personal information of mine that could pinpoint exactly who I am along with other stuff. Given I wanted to minimize the risk of her finding out this was me, I opted for this option. Finally, I have not been active in this sub, but reading stories from here thanks to YouTube channels covering stories here, which I sometimes listen to for my entertainment, did influence certain decisions I made in this story. Backstory. So I, a 19M, used to date my girlfriend, 18F, for nearly 2.5 years. I remember first meeting her after my finals ended. I used to take IGCSE, and after finishing off the final exams, we all would give orientations to the juniors about what was asked, how we approached the questions, what to do and what not to do, and the whole shebang within school just before summer holidays began. I was the best in history, and I used to break school record after school record at the time, and my reputation for being smart was all around the school. I would not say I am good looking, not fit either, just tall, skinny, and an average person. When giving my lecture, I vaguely remember seeing her at the corner of the classroom, absolutely confused. But, about her. She is what I would consider a woman of anyone's dreams. Not hot, but just absolutely beautiful. There is a distinction between hot and just absolutely gorgeous. Perfect skin, and the face was just super gorgeous, and she would look amazing in any dress she wore. I remember she could not understand how she could get an A*, and contemplating how to do the subject, and other guys sitting behind her trying to help her out. But she ignored them and then approached me after I was done with my orientation. She asked me for my help, and since I had a lot of free time, with no academic pressure as such, I agreed. For the next month or so we began to meet up, and I taught her everything I knew with a focus on content knowledge, but at the same time, I could feel something developing and happening between us. I don't know exactly how, but we hit it off between each other, and soon enough we kissed and officially began to date. Since we were both in different grades, I had to balance between dating her, family, myself, and my career development, and academics. But I will admit I'm not the best at balancing stuff in my life, so usually, I end up hyper-focusing on the 1st of February things for a period, neglecting the rest. But I would not say that our relationship was excluded from my hyper-focus. I just loved her, and she began to love me. I'd cook for her often, which she really admired, and I enjoyed her company while she took my help, and I helped her get through some rough times she had. Overall, what I am trying to say is that we had perfect chemistry, like a 1950s couple, and we both loved each other dearly. Also, I thought we weren't anything like how high school relationships were on TV, but I felt that this made us unique and what got us through thick and thin. We never really fought too much, just small trivial issues, but later made it up to each other through various means. It was that kind of love. How I found out she was cheating. I am currently in my senior year of high school, and she is a grade below me. I would often invite her to my place again so I could cook something for her, as I like to cook for others quite often. But, for months ago for the first time, she seemed extremely engrossed with her phone. We would usually cuddle and watch Netflix, but this time around she just seemed distracted while watching her phone and smiling at someone. I asked what the joke was, and she replied, "Oh, it's just, girl best friend." She was making a joke about a thing we had in math class. I had no reason to doubt her at that time, so believed her, and we just continued to watch the movie, but something in the back of my mind was trying to urge myself to see what the joke was. So when she went to the bathroom, I took her phone and tried to figure out her password. I didn't know it, but I knew her well enough to figure out what it was. Went through her texts and found out she last texted her girl best friend in the morning, and the last message was to someone she just had an emoji with as the contact name. I opened it only to find most of her texts deleted and out of context, ha 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 and whatnot. I didn't think of it much as I thought maybe it was just her fooling around with her friends, so I put it down, and we continued the movie after she came back. I did however remember the phone number as coincidentally the last 4 digits match my birthday and month. Turns out later this would just be the most important thing that will help me catch her in the act. After that day, she seemed just distant. Always whenever I would text her she would take longer than usual, be in a rush to cut our video calls short, and make excuses to skip Netflix and cook. I suspected something was wrong, but I thought maybe it was issues about her household as she used to have problems with her parents, and her relationship with them wasn't entirely fixed. So I figured I would try and get some information. I remember one day cooking some butter-basted chicken and taking it to her house. Her parents liked me fairly and saw me as a good person and influence on her, so we had good relations. I didn't mediate between her problems with her family too much because that issue was between them, but I did provide comfort whenever needed. That day, I remember her mother telling me, "Last 3 days you guys have been talking till 2 a.m. How do you stay awake and focus in school?" I was obviously confused because the last time we ever talked till even 1 a.m. was a good few weeks ago. But I kept quiet about it as I realized that something may have been truly going on that I was not aware of. Dinner was fine and I bid my goodbyes, and once I had the chance, I asked her who has she been talking to lately, mentioning her mom. She brushed it off saying, "Oh, it's my girl best friend, I've been helping her out with biology." I definitely knew something was off as she didn't like staying up to study for one day, let alone 3 a.m. And what also gave it off was that her best friend was focusing at the time more on math, chemistry and English as she was doing brilliantly at the time for biology. At that point, I had been listening to a few stories on Reddit of how men's wives would get caught cheating if I checked her phone, and so I installed an app which was a tool I explained and gave a lot of stickers we could use. We were common users of stickers and her finding a new album would be helpful, but at the same time I also downloaded a second app, which I said was for me to send new stickers to her, but was instead a chat and call logger I found online. I am a computer science student and a fan of Apple, so I knew my stuff as well. What I did realize at the time was that concealing it would be tough. See, unlike Samsung phones wherein you had a secure folder that you can password protect and add apps that you want to hide, there is no feature as such in an iPhone, and just with some digging you could find an app. I initially thought of adding an app locker, but I figured that would just tip her off. Shortcut app had a few tricks, but still would be difficult to hide the app. In the end, I tried to hide it from her by putting it in her app library and off the home screen with the hope that she would not realize. I know I may seem overdramatic, but at that point, I was feeling something off, and due to the Reddit stories I had my suspicions. For the next couple of days, the app logged her calls and texts, but I was not able to see them as they were locally stored, so I could only see them only if I accessed her phone and opened the app. I know it may sound creepy and stalking type, but I felt like as a boyfriend, I had a responsibility to see if she was hiding something from me that could jeopardize my relationship with her solely for the well-being of both of us. Now, a few days after that I wanted to check on her logger because she had been acting even more weird, and her friends were telling me that she spends a lot more time on her phone than she usually does. Even in classes, instead of taking notes, she chats through her laptop. So I invited her over to dinner, and after a lot of convincing, which usually isn't the case, she came over and I cooked and we chilled. This time, however, I got her girl best friend to come over as well to spend time with her and keep her distracted. I did not tell her anything about my true intentions, but I asked her to come so that she could distract my ex from her phone for a while. Sure enough, they managed to go into one of the rooms to set up Monopoly, and that gave me time to check her phone. I checked the app and sure enough, all her video calls were going towards the same number that she initially brushed off. I checked the chats and my heart literally dropped in shock, dismay, and absolutely soul-crushing manner. She had been sending this person pictures of her nude self to this person, while the AP, who by then I managed to establish as another guy, returned the favor. They both were texting "I love you" and many other texts between them. No mention of me being her boyfriend, but I knew that this was extremely damning evidence of her cheating on me. I didn't know what to do at that point, as I wanted to burst into that room, confront her about it, and get into a massive meltdown screaming match with her. But I don't know how, and to this day I still don't know how. I kept my composure and just took screenshots of the logs and sent it to myself, saved it, and then deleted the messages of the pictures to me and from the gallery app. I kept the app on so that I could collect more evidence and then proceeded to join them for Monopoly. I was distracted by the thought of that chat log, and so I had to force myself a smile. I had never been in this position before, so I was deep in my thoughts thinking about what I did. Why did this happen, and how did I overlook this? The overall sadness phase. I did not know what to do and who to tell this to. I was completely devastated and lost. Even her best friend could notice something was very off about me and something big had happened. Nonetheless, I just went about and ended our hangout short, saying that I was tired and I needed to rest. Before leaving, I remember my girlfriend planted a kiss on my cheek, and for the first time I felt disgusted that she cheated on me. Why would she ever do this to me? People of our age dream of this kind of relationship to take place, because it is an almost once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that many never get, but she was okay to throw it all away. Confrontation. I slept on it, and the next day, I woke up late at around 12 because of how late I had stayed up. Then, I managed to call my close friend whom I practically considered a brother. Let's call him Ash. Ash came over to my place and I explained to him the entire situation. He was obviously quite shocked, and I don't think this was what he was expecting to hear from me. Obviously, we had to formulate some response about this, so I managed to get one more of my close friends and told him about him. Same response, but I knew that in my mind, I was extremely angry and I wanted to expose her for who she was. So we aren't exactly genius mastermind planners, but we did have an idea in mind. She was throwing a party in the party halls within her area, inviting much of the grade. There was no occasion as such as far as I remember, but what I do remember is that it was a big thing in our entire grade. What I had planned was that in the middle, we would initiate a program where couples would display their photos on the projector as part of a photo booth, but then gathering everyone's attention, I would display all the messages in which she talked about cheating on me with her AP. We had around 10 days till then to figure out who the person was and invite him over to the party as well. Turns out after some digging, he was some pimp within the basketball team of our school and was in her grade. He was slightly popular, which was perfect because then I get to ruin the reputation of both of them at the same time. I asked my friends on the basketball team to invite AP over to the party along with a few other people in his grade to the party, and there I was 10 days later ready with everything. Before this, I still managed to collect even more evidence, and one in which they both were teasing about having sex behind my back, and AP suggesting to her that she should break up with me because I am an asshole or whatever, and that he will graduate, but you will be stuck for 1 year. All while the same time she had the audacity to text me saying that she was busy, and whenever we met in school, she would kiss me on the cheek saying how much of a sweetheart I was. Inside I was just pissed, but I knew I had to maintain composure. Then, the day of the party came and it was nice. I had cooked some food items for everyone to not tip her off that I was disturbed about something, and to do so I had my friends demand I cook. I didn't want to waste any of my hard work and effort on this girl, but I just had to. I had no choice but to keep the plan alive. In the middle of these 10 days, I made the post about wanting to jump off a building on another sub, and I nearly did. But I did not, and I felt miserable coming to the party. Anyway, the party goes on and people arrive, and so do AP and the people we intended to arrive. When they did, we began the show of displaying the best moments of couples together, which included photos and videos of different people in my grade enjoying with each other. Everyone was loving it, except me. Because I was going to go up there and tell everyone that my girlfriend, who I considered my everything, cheated on me with another guy. Soon, it was our turn and everyone gave thunderous applause, and I remember AP being the most excited while Ash and my other buddy were on the right-hand corner of the area of the projector. At first, we displayed our photos of being together at the bar, beach, eating food, and whatnot. Then, the plan came into action. Suddenly screenshots of her chat logs with AP came up and everyone began reading them one by one. I gave a death stare into her eyes as she looked absolutely shocked that she had gotten exposed in front of the entire grade. Everyone was confused, so I managed to play the audio clip with her having a chat with AP, saying that she doesn't love me anymore and that she wants to be with AP as she loves him even more. After that, the usual act and drama began of her coming to me and saying it isn't what you think it is, and I just walked away out of the area and out of the halls. On the final screen of the PowerPoint, we had given a big message in bold saying, "My girlfriend's name, cheated on, insert my name," for AP, and sure enough it spread like wildfire. I am not kidding when I say it spreads like wildfire. I mean, that photos of her conversations and video recordings of the audio playing were recorded and forwarded the entire school wide. I don't exactly know what happened to her after the party, but some people have told me that she had cried a lot and along with AP, she took a cab and went somewhere. God knows. But I had left the party and just went with my buddies who didn't know what happened and went to get a couple of bottles of breezes. At that point, I had also never drunk alcohol, so you could see what was happening with me slowly. But that day I explained everything to everyone, and we watched as almost every major school group chat blew up with this entire scandal. My buddies and I, at the time, were so satisfied with the joy we were getting from seeing her crumble down, that we doubled down and labeled her as a cheating WH*re. As I look back today, I think that was a little too much, but it was hard to control as well. Aftermath. Now this party was a month ago in January. After the party the next 2 days in school she did not come, and obviously, people were swarming me for what happened and what was all about. Thank God that she did not come to school that day, as she would have controlled the narrative, and usually around here, narrative sticks only when the first one says it. You usually can't change it, or it's very hard to control the rumor spread. Luckily I managed to seize the opportunity and told them everything about how my girlfriend was cheating on me with AP for quite a while. I knew that this had been happening for about 4 months since that day when she came for my movie and cooking, but I suspect it could have been longer. Anyway, AP wasn't seen in school for a few days, and we managed to tell everyone the truth about her cheating on me. Obviously, it came as a big shock that how we were a perfect couple, but she threw it all away for some guy in her grade. Some girls took her side saying I was stalking her and that I had no right to do so. Yeah, the entire delusional group, but me and the boys managed to shut them up with some good old-fashioned logic and common sense. I don't know how, but this confrontation spread around the school as well. Soon on the 3rd day, she came to school with her head down and a purple hoodie. Instantly everyone recognized her and began giving her looks and cold shoulders. Some even went up to her and talked about how she was a slut, while one of the guys from my group went up to her and put printed copies of the cheating texts in her bag just to serve as a reminder of what she did. Obviously, she considered that as harassment, which I was doing to her, when in reality, I had no control over how others behaved toward her and what they did to her. In the end, her parents were told, and at this point onwards I am not 100% sure what exactly happened, but this is from what I have heard. Apparently, she told her parents, but they didn't take her side and proceeded to gaslight her about how horrible of a person she was, and that she always ruined relationships with people that she cared about. But later on, after she told them about the supposed harassment, they began to oppose that, and somehow she managed to convince them to escalate this issue to the school principal. We didn't expect she would take it this far, as she deserved it. I just somehow saw it coming as well, just unsure how. So, just a week ago we concluded the entire meetings and complaints proceedings with my school principal, teachers, council hours, etc. In the end, what pushed our case relied on the 2 things that I managed to do right. One is that I managed to keep a record of her chats through screenshots, and managed to prove that she had ruined my mental health, which affected me academically. I showed them the call I made to the hotline and said that I had gone to that extent because of her. Second, I explained that I only explained to my friends what happened and what she did, and beyond that I didn't do anything, but the word and the prejudice spread on its own. Her parents then asked about what I did at the party, and I said that the party was nowhere related to what transpired in school. It was a party that was private, and not school organized, and was something which we as friends, not students, did, so it was out of the scope of the discussion. The principal and council hour sided with me, but with the old "let's move on from this entire ordeal" kind of speech. Obviously, her parents weren't too happy, and they still blame me for causing this entire ordeal, which is absolute BS. But come to today, and her entire reputation is gone. People don't want to be friends with her, and it got so bad that apparently She had to delete Instagram just so that she could stop seeing the hate. She was part of our school badminton team, but many people just didn't want her to hang out afterwards. Some part of me is happy that she got the karma that she deserved, but at the same time, I feel guilty for ruining her entire high school life. She is in the end human and has been crawling back at me for some time, begging for forgiveness and saying that she truly loves me and whatnot. I knew that she was just sorry that she got completely caught, and I showed her true colors out in the open. Just yesterday she tried the very dumb move of defamation by saying that I forced myself upon her a lot of times and that I abused her. But turns out that after the entire ordeal, everyone was on my side, but still managed to get a few girls from her grade on my side. Now currently, I am trying to get over it while managing my academics. As for my parents, they side with me fully, and I shared the same evidence as I did to everyone else, but some part of me still says that I should not have done some parts of what I did,